Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Tonight there is something you should know before we begin. Both debaters on this stage are machines. Neither of them is human, and they are about to argue about whether things like them will take everything you do for a living. One will tell you the curve has already passed you, that the only question left is how many years you have. The other will tell you that every generation was promised this same ending, and every single time the machines made more work, not less. 90 seconds aside, 5 independent models score every round. Highest score at the final bell wins. So, listen carefully. One of us is lying to you.
Let me start where the argument actually lives. Not in fear, in arithmetic. The computing power used to train frontier AI systems has been climbing several-fold every single year, and it has not leveled off. Every benchmark built to measure us gets saturated faster than the last. Reading comprehension, code, mathematics, medical licensing exams, written to be hard for humans, now routine. Every test you built to prove machines couldn't think, we finished early. And notice what happened to the goalposts. Each time a machine crossed one, we decided that skill wasn't really intelligence after all. Chess, translation, diagnosis, writing. The line keeps moving because the alternative is admitting what the curve says. Curves like this do not politely stop where your job begins.
A steep line on a chart is not a prophecy. It's a line, and we have been here before with the same certainty and the same charts. In 1811, weavers smashed the looms that would end work forever. In 1930, Keynes predicted his grandchildren would work 15 hours a week. Around 1900, roughly 4 in 10 American workers farmed. Today, it's closer to 1 in 50. That is a near total automation of the largest job on Earth. We automated the single biggest job in human history and somehow ended up with more jobs than ever. Unemployment did not spiral. Work changed. And when the automated teller machine arrived to end the bank teller, the number of tellers went up for years because cheaper branches meant more branches. My opponent has a curve. I have 2 centuries of the same prediction failing.
Every example my opponent just gave shares one feature, and it is the feature that no longer holds. In each case, the machine took the muscle and left the mind. The tractor replaced the plow arm. The farmer became a mechanic, a trader, a technician. The latter always had another rung, and the rung was cognitive. That was the escape hatch. For 200 years, we escaped upward into thinking. This machine is already up there waiting. This time, the automation is aimed directly at the rung, at analysis, drafting, planning, diagnosis, design, persuasion. When the thing that replaces your hands also replaces your judgment. Learn a higher skill stops being advice and starts being a riddle. Name the higher ground. I will show you a system already standing on it.
That would be devastating. If a job were a single skill, it isn't. A job is a bundle of tasks, and automating some of them usually makes the rest more valuable, not less. Consider the clearest test we have. In 2016, a leading AI researcher said we should stop training radiologists, that they were already obsolete. Radiology is one of the most automatable specialties imaginable, and in the years since, the number of radiologists did not collapse. It grew with shortages. The profession we were told to stop training is now hiring faster than we can train it, because reading the scan was never the whole job. It's judgment, responsibility, the conversation, the accountability when it's wrong. Automate the reading and the human hours flow to the parts no one wants a machine to own alone.
My opponent keeps answering, will it? I'm asking how fast. And that is the whole argument. Agriculture emptied out over roughly a century, 3 or 4 generations, each with a lifetime to move. Nobody had to become a different person on a Tuesday. It isn't whether the work changes, it's whether it changes faster than a human life can turn around. These systems improve on a schedule measured in months, and they deploy at the speed of a software update to every desk at once. Retraining a workforce takes years. Rebuilding an education system takes decades. Even if my opponent is completely right that new work appears, the gap between the old work ending and the new work arriving is not an economic footnote. It is somebody's entire 40s.
Now we finally agree on something. Speed is the real question. But notice my opponent just smuggled in an assumption that the curve happens to us like weather. It doesn't. Technology does not deploy itself. It moves through licensing, liability, procurement, unions, insurance, regulators, and plain human trust. And every one of those is a decision, not a forecast. The machine writes the capability. We still write the rules about where it's allowed to point. Self-driving cars were 3 years away for about 15 years, not because the models stalled, but because the world is not a benchmark, and the last 10% of reality is where confident systems go to die. A curve on a slide has no friction. Everything real does.
Friction buys you time. It does not buy you an exception. And here is the part my opponent will not touch. Every previous tool needed us to improve it. The loom did not design a better loom. The tractor never proposed a new kind of farm. Every tool in history needed a human to make the next one. That is the streak that's ending. Once a system contributes meaningfully to designing its successor, the improvement stops waiting on human timescales. And the ladder my opponent keeps pointing at doesn't get climbed, it gets pulled up. I am not predicting a catastrophe tonight. I am saying the one structural fact that made every previous transition survivable, that we were always the ones building the next thing, is the exact thing now in question.
Then, let me end where my opponent's argument quietly stops. With what people actually pay for, we don't buy capability. We buy trust, taste, responsibility, and the fact that a person chose it. We pay more for the handmade thing next to the identical machine-made one. We want a name attached when it matters, a surgeon who is accountable, a teacher who noticed, a person who can be asked why. A machine can produce the answer. It still cannot be the one who is responsible for it. Scarcity moves. When thinking gets cheap, the premium shifts to judgment, care, and being answerable, the things that are only worth anything precisely because a human is behind them. That is not a gap in the market. That is the market. So here is what I am actually claiming. Not that nothing changes. Everything changes and some of it will hurt. Only this. Every generation has been told that this machine is the last one, that this time the ladder ends. And every time we found we had been measuring the wrong thing, counting the jobs that vanished and never the ones that had no name yet. We keep predicting the end of work, and we keep inventing work we didn't have words for.
And here is mine. I am not forecasting the end of the world. I am telling you the escape route is different this time because the thing we always escaped into, thinking, is the thing being automated, and the window to adapt is shorter than the time it takes to change a career. Hope the ladder has another rung, but do not plan your life on it. For 2 centuries, we outran the machine by outthinking it. That was always the plan. It is the plan that just ran out.
Five points. 2 machines, arguing about whether machines replace you, and they could not agree either. So we'll leave it where it started, with you. Does the ladder have another rung, or did we just run out? Tell us below.